But as spring rolls over, people have just been waiting for their houses to be able to, present at its best. Buyers have waited. Tenants don't like to move through the winter months either. So there's just naturally a lot more activity that happens through the course through this time. So,
Going once, going twice, sold. You're listening to the Property Pod.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Property Pod, your weekly engagement into real estate here in the Hobart Marketplace. I'm your host, Aaron Horn, and as always, I'm joined by superstars of real estate here in Hobart, Patrick Berry and John McGregor. Welcome back to the table, boys.
What an intro.
Tell me about it, yeah.
Wrestling style.
I got almost be right on the verge of being a grind, and I'm here always.
No, look, I felt the vibe halfway through. I'm like, I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it a one-shot wonder. So, yeah. Welcome to the table. How are we feeling, team?
To the moon, baby. I'm excited. My kitchen's finally getting installed at Moreno, which has taken obviously far too long and cost more than more than I planned for. But it's happening, which is very
I
exciting.
think that's everything in the building industry, John.
Pretty much, exactly. Yeah.
I found it interesting the other night at the investor seminar where you were talking about kind of, you had your place and you thought, I'll give my client or my tenant this long lead in to find a new place, and they found something the very next day. So
completely backfired.
It completely backfired on you, but it opened up for you to be able to get in and make the plans and get everything started on the reno.
Yeah, exactly.
But that was a while ago.
Well, yeah, I mean, the irony was though is that the plans were already there with the framework of what we're going to do, but no one could really start there till November. So it was sort of 4 months anyway. So I just had dead space. I was like, oh, for far out. But I honoured my word. So I just 24 hours. That just surprised me.
Trying to be the good Samaritan.
Yeah, completely backfired on me.
So what's happening with the kitchen? Give us a rundown. Give us the visual picture. Paint a picture with your words about what's happening with this kitchen. What was it, and what will it become?
So originally it was an L-shaped kitchen in a smaller room.
Yep.
But what we did was we did the typical rip down the wall which connected the lounge room to the living room. So you just got this one long connected space now.
Yep.
And then we cut a hole out the back of the house and put in two doors.
French doors.
Two French doors with glass. And then what it'll be is just it's a 3-metre island that stretches right down the middle. And then the left-hand side, then you've got all your other cabinetry that connects it. So starting from at the front, there's the pantry, then the centerpiece where the oven's going to be, and then the fridge, and then it'll pull out just a little bit, and then we've actually got the internal laundry connected to it as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's all blossom white, it's called. So it'll all sort of just hopefully just disappear into the room, and then there's some dark features on above the oven space. So I think there was it's like a dark grey. So to try to keep it neutral and modern, but have a couple of little
just little splashes.
No McGregor tartan covering going over any of it.
I did get it quoted up.
Imagine that. Splashback McGregor tartan behind the stove. What a statement piece that would be, John.
Yeah, so but now it's all come together, and even just I caught up with the lads yesterday to just step in the island just a little bit. We measured that out a little bit more. So it was kind of nice because once we did the final design with them on like the last Thursday, we went, yes, this is going to be
We've hit it, yep.
So it was a really nice feeling because it's been a long time coming.
So when you say the laundry's built in, are you talking like European style?
Laundry.
Yep. So it's not a room, it's not connected in, it's just literally maximising space.
Yeah, absolutely. Because where it is actually is where the separate laundry used to be. That was a hot water cylinder there, and then the laundry was connected to it. So it had all these tiny little attachments to the back of this house. Completely wasted space.
Yep.
So we actually reclaimed a bunch of there's Baltic pine floors throughout the whole home.
Yep.
But because we're putting carpet in the bedrooms, we reclaimed some of the pine boards from the bedrooms, and then relayed that down into the kitchen space, so I was able to connect all the floors again.
Yeah, nice.
Especially where we ripped out the walls and the floors bit stuffed. But where there's still some. It looks pretty rough on that side, but because the cabinetry is going to go right over the top of it, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So then what we've done too is the other day I changed my mind. I ripped off all the skirts throughout the entire house where it had the wooden ones, which are great for the time, but it ends up being cheaper to replace them with white. The ones you can buy now, and then paint them once rather than the painter having to do 3 coats around the entire home.
Yeah, for sure.
But because we had most of it was old modern looking, and you still had this this 80s sort of feature that just
I'm right in the middle of that at my place. We're debating. Sarah's like, but I like this and it will change this, and I'm just like, yeah, but like yeah, let's go the modern white. Like, let's just get the primed stuff and razz it on
Just
there.
get it on
Razz it on
It's
there.
way easier. Ours has even got the PowerPoints used to be in the actual skirting,
Yes.
so there's a bunch of like holes that I've
Yeah,
got like
exactly.
masking taped up so the mice can't get in. Well, that's fine, honey. It's cool. They can't chew through that.
There's no draft coming through these holes at all.
Look, all that stuff was good nick, so it'll all be recycled. But for the house, because a lot of it had been ripped out of the main areas anyway, and I can't replace it. Well, you just have all these different rooms with all these different parts. It's
Yep.
like, stuff it. Let's just go back to making it all nice and clean. And we've come this far. Might as well just finish it off now.
And then what's the goal at the end? Is it to live in this, or is this to rent out and continue it as an investment property?
It was originally it was just going to be. It wasn't until I met my current partner where it evolved a bit more because I'll be staying in it for a little bit longer. So that's why we've spent a lot of money on the kitchen. The bathrooms are nicer than they would have been. It wasn't just like a little tart up to rent it in a good condition, you could say.
Yep.
So now we'll probably be there for 2 to 3 years, and we've got a townhouse design on the back of that block, which we're 90% through. But realistically, it's going to take 12 to 18 months
To then build that on top.
to actually even start anyway.
Yep.
So then once that's done, we'll move into the back townhouse and then ideally rent out the front, provided we can keep it and the finances stack up. So
Yeah, cool.
Which, like obviously last episode we spoke about having a plan and then sticking to it. But I guess like it's a matter of having a plan and then being flexible enough to be like, if the numbers stack up in this way,
Yeah.
now we're going to change our plan and be like, oh, we can't actually get the townhouse built in the time period that we want. We're going to be sinking costs into renting. So instead, let's live in this front bad boy.
Yeah.
We'll do a little bit extra to make it comfortable for this period of time.
Yeah.
And Bob's your uncle.
Oh, look, financially, if you're looking for an investor's perspective, it doesn't make sense, But what it was then, both of these are more so that, we're looking for us to enjoy that lifestyle in those properties. So that's that basis for that little, for that one little development.
Yeah. Oh, look, and there's reasons for A, B, and C, and you can kind of be trying to balance the checkbooks across all boards. But yeah, you've got to live somewhere as well.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
ultimately, it's you're renting with your mates, trying to have a relationship, maybe kids and stuff on the horizon.
So it'll be nice to have the house.
Yeah,
Promise you that.
Indeed. What's happening in your world, Patrick Berry? We've got the John update.
Not a huge amount, to be honest.
Your plans for your place are coming together.
Yeah, we've been working with our architect, and he's just doing up plans, and they're looking pretty fancy.
Shout out to the toy wog himself, Sam Bresnahan.
Yeah, so I had another phone call with him last night and went back to him, and all the amazing design elements and the concepts and the reasons why it has to be like this, squashed 50% of them. So even though on paper and it has to be that way, we went back and said, can we make all these changes against his suggestion? So, you pay an expert in architecture and
Expert
then
advice.
tell him that he's wrong and ask him to fix it all. So that
Look,
worked out well.
you guys are dealing with that all the time. Like, you're giving advice on, buy this, don't buy that. Like, this is your best
It
option.
wasn't too bad. We didn't go back with too much stuff. It was just a few little things and there were more trade-offs between Abby and I to make sure all of us were happy.
Yep.
So it's like, well, I really like this, and Abby hated it, but she really liked a different element, so we sort of swapped. So
Yep.
yeah, it's coming together quite well. It's looking really good.
I think that's a good way to roll, because if one of you allow the other something that they hate, you'll always resent it just a little bit.
Yeah.
It's
So-
got to be that where we both agree 100%.
Yeah, so our biggest challenge now is, we've hired an architect to design a property, and architects have creative ideas.
Yeah.
And maybe those creative ideas are a little bit more than what we were brave enough to build. And
Yes.
as Sam was saying last night, well, we can make some of these changes, but then you're really just paying for an overpriced Metricon home or an overpriced Unique home.
What an argument.
I
Well
was like,
played.
you.
Ooh, yeah, right in that knife.
Yeah, it's just like, so, it's up to you. So,
Nice.
yeah, so
nice.
through a conversation, though, we came to a happy median, and he's going to make some amendments to hopefully get it to where we want it to be. So,
Nice.
yeah, we're excited. But yeah, it was amusing that he was happy to make the changes if we wanted to go back to a plain old Jane home.
Nah, well played, Brez. I had the joys of living with Brez while we were at uni, while he was training and doing all his architectural design and environmental design and stuff. And the things they would be coming and telling me, like, oh, yeah, the light's got to bounce off this and do this. And I would be like, holy moly, who thinks about this stuff? But,
It's been crazy.
No, it's really, really in-depth and really interesting. And, yeah, as you said, you can have a a run of the mill home, or be brave. I've never known the Berries not to be brave and to push the envelope.
Changed the thing on it, but compromise had to happen. So happy wife, happy life, they say.
The good news is none of her team members are on this episode, so she won't be listening.
Well, at least even when it's it looks amazing, all of it makes sense. But you can, if someone looks at the plan and go, but I'm just not going to use it for that reason.
You got to live in it.
Well, then it's pointless.
Yeah. So you've got to be able to see how you're going to live in it and make sure it works for you. So they're the things that we're just changing. Like we're just looking at some small things that we do on the daily and thinking, does that really work, or do we just need to tweak? But no, Sam's been really good about it.
Yeah,
he was telling me last night that the changes we've requested are so small to some of his clients. Some of his clients, he gets to this stage where renders are all built and we're basically 90% there, and then they pivot in a 180-degree direction and want him to cut half the house to pieces. So he wasn't worried at all by our 1.5 pages of suggestions. Yeah. He's like, it's nothing compared to what some of my clients do to me. So
it's not like you said, anyway, change that one. So we bought another block.
Yeah.
We're going to start again.
We hate this block. So so no, it's been really fun working with him and working with an architect, because it is a different experience to design with somebody that knows all of those little elements.
Even looking at your plans, I'm like, God, I never would have even been able to conceive that. And that's what's really exciting.
Wait till you see the 3D renders; they look pretty impressive.
Oh, really? Yeah, sweet.
Yeah, so no, it's exciting times. Really.
What that?
No idea.
Slippery when wet.
I reckon it's a sign or something.
Who knows?
Anyway,
no one seems worried.
No.
Yeah, so exciting times. Really happy to keep pushing forward, and we'll see where we end up.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of exciting times, it's an exciting time of the year. Things have changed. We're in a state of change currently. You'll see that we previously were wearing beanies. Now we've got our hats on.
Yep.
The sun is out. The sun is shining. Spring has sprung.
Green wall's about to come into blossom.
It's going to come into blossom. Actually, there's down on my street where I walk the dog, there's this magnolia tree that is just like come to life with all this pink, and like you just walk past, it's like, holy moly, I love this time of year. It's so good. I never thought I'd be a guy that would stop and smell the roses, but stop and appreciate this magnolia tree.
The attitude makes a difference, isn't it? Even, from buying and selling, everyone just slowly starts to get in a bit more of an aspirational mode. It's like, ooh, things are getting better,
Oh, you feel nicer though. Like last night it was 6 o'clock and I was fixing my barbecue so I could fire it up for the first time in God knows how long to cook some steak. I'm like, nice.
I was out digging a hole. I've got a leak under my driveway, which I've got Jackson and Cooper working on today. But they're like, oh, look, if you can dig the trench for us, that'd be way easier. It'll cost you heaps less. So I'm out there and 6:30 digging this trench, and my little son Jack's like, Daddy, what you doing? It's like, digging a hole. Exactly. But at least you can be doing that. And then obviously daylight savings is kind of coming around. But what we've been trying to talk about for 2 weeks of recording is let's get into Spring has sprung, and let's talk about kind of what that means for the market. I know you say it's like a really active time, John, and I'd love to go into kind of why that is and what that means for buyers and sellers.
Well, one of the statistics I grabbed from realestate.com was, and the product that they use, release called Property Track, is that they noticed that in terms of price growth, is that the most intense growth happens around the last quarter. So that October, November, December, those 3 months.
Yep.
And then that coincides absolutely with the volume of sales and activity that goes year on year. So now what that will mean is that, obviously cycles will change where there's bloody bang ladders.
Is that what it is? What's going on?
It's a ladder that's clanging. So I reckon it's something from the storage fell down. Anyway, so, obviously year on year we might see volumes, go up and down with a larger, the larger market.
Yep.
But through the year, spring always ends up being your highest turnover and the highest growth if there is to be any.
So I guess what I'm really interested in is the kind of state of the market at the moment. Feels like it's in a bit of a lull, or like it's kind of changed, or correction is kind of what we've been calling it.
Yeah.
What do we think's going to happen in this next little period? Like, I know, you can't make a crystal ball. Yeah.
Well, look, when we had that investors night, I asked that question: "Is who thinks we're in a rising market?" No one put their hands up, and so if that's a reflection of what everyone feels, that's the larger proportion that people probably couldn't control. But as spring rolls over, people have just been waiting for their houses to be able to, present at its best. Buyers have waited. Tenants don't like to move through the winter months either. So there's just naturally a lot more activity that happens through the course through this time. So we may find that properties that we've had a hard time moving through this winter, and one of our clients, we're just advising it, look, let's just take a break. The problem is because it's cold, it's just the house there's nothing about it that screams, I want to live here during winter. So let's wait when there's more activity, give it a refresh, and maybe we just we'll get that activity that you need.
Yep.
And just because of a change of season, because it presents better.
I think there's that notion too that people love the idea of being in a new house for Christmas.
Yeah.
And so
Okay.
you sell now, you can
Get
sell,
in.
settle, move, and be ready in your new place before that Christmas. New
Yep,
Year
fresh
period.
start kind of Christmas
yeah.
and New Year.
And then you get to enjoy the house through the summer.
Yep.
And the summer is the best time in any house. Like, your family barbecues in the backyard and, being outside kicking the footy. Like, there's so much more enjoyment in a house in the summer months
Yeah.
than there is in the winter months. So,
Yeah, you're kind of taking advantage of all the other aspects rather than just being
yeah. So I think if there's people out there that have got homes with outdoor entertaining areas or backyards that really scream amazing, spring is the perfect time to sell because the garden comes alive, and people can start to think, oh wow, if we buy this, Christmas at our place would be awesome in the backyard with the family coming round, and those type of conversations start to happen.
Hang on, and look, with our clients at Dodgers, they've been doing all the prep work to effectively launch. I think it's at the tail end of September that we're planning for, so that right into October, you've got the perfect season for them to start going. Everyone's revisiting it. People are going down there visiting friends. I could experience this lifestyle.
Well, Abby and I had Christmas last year down at Dodgers Ferry in our caravan.
Yeah.
And we had 7 days down there. We commuted back here to work each day and went back down during of a night time.
Yeah.
And overnight we were walking the dog on the beach, kids were in the pool. I'm like, I freaking love it down here, Abby. Well, I could move here.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I remembered it's, 50-minute drive to work every day, and that changed.
Yeah, it
But
changed rather
for that
quickly.
small window of time, I fell in love with that little lifestyle that summer offered down there.
And as you've said, doing that in summer, you can kind of, get home from work and do that little beach walk. Whereas
Yeah.
you get home from winter, you're leaving in the dark,
coming home
in the dark, you're stuck in you'd be in your caravan, but if you lived down there,
Yeah.
you're just stuck in that kind of, different kind of
Environment.
lifestyle. Yeah.
Yeah, so I definitely see the advantages of spring and why people flock to sell in that.
Yeah,
It'll just be interesting to see how this year goes.
So I guess where I was trying to angle before was in your previous experiences when you've gone through lulls in markets and stuff, does it still kind of work itself out into spring still is a kind of a rise, or do you still kind of find it's probably going to just sit where
I
it's
think
at?
in any market in spring, there's still more activity around.
100%.
But more activity in a quiet market versus a busy market is just reflective of what's happening at the time.
That's the thing, and that's where you're taking that trends over a longer time frame, and then when you shorten them down, it still say, well, look, within that 12 months, it's still going to probably be see more activity than we did in winter.
Yep.
Because that's just what happens every year. But then, year on year, well, it's probably less than what was last year and less than the year before.
And I think, interest rates have been on topics for a lot of people now. And I think as we record today, they're announcing potentially another interest rate rise today. But I think people are starting to accept that is what it is.
Yeah.
I don't think people are as stressed anymore as what they potentially were. And I think people have accepted that,
It's kind of leveling itself out to what it...
Yeah.
What it-
And they were in a position to be able to meet those
Requirements
increase in mortgage. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think we'll see those interest rates be as painful as what we thought they were going to be.
Yep.
I think all that it will do, and people need to accept that, is that with the interest rates increasing, people's borrowing capacity will be slightly less. So potentially they can pay slightly less for a home. But if, like we always say, if you're buying and selling in the same market, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
Because if you sell your home for slightly less, you'll be able to buy another home for slightly less.
Yep.
So it all works out in the wash. The only people that struggle are the ones that are moving marketplaces.
That's it.
So,
like moving into state or retiring or getting first
yeah.
in.
So I've got friends in Rocky at the moment, and that marketplace is going off. Adelaide's another one that's going off.
yeah.
If you're moving from Hobart to Adelaide, for instance, that's where you might struggle.
Yep.
Because you're selling your home at a cheaper rate, but moving to a market where it's accelerating. So
Yeah.
that's the challenge for the people at the moment. So anyone that's staying here, I think, can go along their business as normal.
So the only other question I had for buying and selling in spring before we kind of finish up was, we're talking about the market gets busier, more properties come on board. Does that make it trickier to sell because you've got more competition to compete against?
I would say that you've also got higher levels of buyer activity.
Okay, so yeah,
long as you put the best
even though
on.
there's more properties, there's probably more buyers to go around those more properties.
Exactly. The only caveat to that would be if 3 houses that are all average get listed in the same street at the same time,
You just got to make sure you've got the best of the three, John.
exactly right. And then obviously, you might be a little bit more aggressive in your pricing strategy, just so that you're the most attractive option in that moment.
Yep.
But yeah, just it's matched with more properties and more buyers.
Yeah, cool. I was just picturing as we were kind of going through the ups and downs, I was like, oh, but if there's more properties, like then, yeah, how's my property going to stand out? But I guess that's why there's lots of kind of, ways that we can work around.
And you can make a case in any direction, like you could, if someone's debating over when to sell in winter, you might say, well, look, now's a great time to do it because there's less competition on the market. And then if it's in spring, you could discourage them to do it because there could be more competition on the market. So you can swing it both ways.
So you just manipulate your clients to whatever you want them to be, John.
That's the thing. That's why you want to be careful with who you're chatting to. Because sometimes they might have an ulterior motive and they can sell you in a direction that may not be suited to you. But that's where again, it's always that thing is you buy and sell when it's most appropriate for your lifestyle. Not trying to pick the peak. You could say.
Wait, what's your thing? No, I've got one of your sayings in my head. Do you know the one I'm trying to think of?
Nah, the problem is they
don't try and play the market and have the market play you or something like that. Is that one?
Oh,
he's got it. He knows there's something there.
Yeah, I know there's something there.
I know I've got one of these sayings somewhere.
There's something in the
He's working through the filing cabinet.
A little bit messy at the minute.
Really, John?
I can't remember.
No, don't worry. Yeah, there's one in there. Someone can find the audio clip of it.
Go back to the episodes. I'm sure
He's got a file next to his daily schedule to keep in time with things.
No, look, I love spring. Spring is probably, summer is awesome. You get to the beach and do these things, but spring is kind of that new life. Everything is kind of happening again. And as you say, you go for the walk and I see the magnolia tree and just think, bloody hell, longer nights, here we come. So I really like spring. I'm excited to see what's going to happen from here. Pat's looking at me like I'm a goose.
No, next week's episode sponsored by Spring. We'll have to hit him up with that sort of endorsement, Aaron.
Oh, well, remember when I brought the apple in? Look, proudly sponsored by Spring. No, look, it's a cracking time of year. I've got a lot of energy. I'm actually heading up the East Coast this evening to go shoot a wonderful property in Dolphin Sand. So this is kind of your perfect spring/summer retreat. Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited to get out and about and do that. It would have been a lot trickier to do in winter. So
yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Well,
spring has sprung.
Spring has sprung.
Awesome.
Anything we want to close off with?
No, I think the one you're thinking of was time in the market, not timing the market.
That's the bad boy. That is what I was thinking of. Doesn't really equate to what we're talking about.
But I think that's what we're talking about.
Well, I think you should make up one something about don't let the market play you, you play the market.
Ooh.
There you go. You think about that. Trademarked. A-horn. Every time you use it, I'll have 5 cents.
Yeah, sponsored by Spring.
All right, guys, that's the Property Pod for this week.
See ya, guys.
We'll see you next week.
Gotcha.
Bye. You have been listening to the Property Pod, recorded and edited by 414 Media House in conjunction with 414 Property Co.
This podcast is general information only, and the thoughts and views expressed is the opinion of our panel, and listeners should always seek then use their own investigation into any topic we discuss to ensure they fully understand their own situation.
It does not constitute and should not be relied on as purchasing, selling, financial or investment advice or recommendations, express or implied, and it should not be used as an invitation to take up any agent or investment services. No investment decision or activity should be undertaken on the basis of this information without first seeking qualified and professional advice.